Thank you everyone for the warm welcome. I'm sure you guys are having some amazing weather over there while it's almost 100 degrees here. Oh goodness. Alrighty, well, I hope you guys have a pen and paper out ready to take some notes because I'm going to be throwing a lot of information out at you guys, and I want for you to be able to catch as much of it as possible. So what I want to talk to you about is really the easiest and fastest way to make money in 90 minutes, what I like to call fast cash at your fingertips. And what we're talking about, like Allison said, is webinars. Webinars are absolutely the wave of the future. Already been here and made some amazing impacts in my clients' businesses, and I want you guys to take advantage of them as well in your businesses because they're a real powerhouse. So there I am, Terryn Ashley. Hello everybody, put a face to a name. So I have been in the webinar and online marketing industries for over 15 years, and I've been involved in supporting my clients profit over $150 million over all that time. I just want to pause and say that is all through webinars. Let me say that again, all through webinars. You know, I've even run 50 webinars in a single day for my clients. I'm sure some of you are going, gosh, I wish I could run 50 webinars in a year. But you know what? I do it all from home. I have no schedule and freedom to work when I wish. And like I said, you know, that's all thanks to webinars. But you know, I realized something that my clients, I was working for them by the hour. They're making all the money while I'm doing all the work and managing it all for them. And I thought, you know what? I could do that too. After managing over 15,000 webinars over the years, I knew, you know, which ones worked, that were the winners, and how they're supposed to be run. You know, the funny thing is, it was the same, I was playing like live, the same ones, and they were really the top performing webinars. So after there was 15,000 webinars, I have absolutely been able to hone in on what works, what doesn't, and the ones that do work, it's amazing what they can do. Like Allison mentioned, Frank Kern, top internet marketer from the US, he, because of webinars, has generated $1.4 million in orders in just 4 hours, and also $18.3 million in orders in less than 24 hours. And I want to stop, and I'm going to emphasize this through this whole presentation with you guys so I can really drive it home, that this was because of webinars. You know, another great A-lister client of ours is Ryan Dice. I'm sure some of you guys have heard of him. He has generated millions and millions of dollars for his business via webinars. You know, he has invested over $15 million in marketing tests alone. So that kind of tells you what kind of money he's able to generate just these webinars, introducing his products and services. Also, Evan Pagan, another wonderful client that we work with that is also a powerhouse in webinars and really uses them to his advantage in his business. You know, here's the thing is with webinars, like what these clients have done is they're able to reach so many clients all over the world. Like for instance, Kent Clothier, another fantastic client of ours from the US. He has over 17,000 students worldwide. And again, it's because of webinars. That's how he's able to reach them. That's the other thing that webinars really allow us to do is expand your reach. I'm sure there's some of you in the room that you're saying, gosh, you know, through my business, whether it's service or product-based, you know, you're saying, I really want to be able to serve as many people as possible and make an impact on as many people as possible. Well, you know what? It's now these days just doing, you know, one-to-ones or just getting a group of people in a room. With webinars, that will allow you to expand your reach and really able to attain that goal. So, just between these top clients, they have produced more than half a billion with a B. So I want to ask, how many of you have ever put together a PowerPoint or maybe even for a school project or company presentation, and it just didn't feel like it had the oomph that it needed? Or maybe you're afraid of speaking in public? Well, the great thing about webinars is no one will ever see that maybe you're nervous because you've never done a presentation before, you're shaking your boots, you're thinking, oh my gosh, I don't know if I can do this. Because it's all behind your computer. You don't have to worry about standing in front of a room going, oh my gosh, don't know what I'm doing, because you can get your start through webinars. It's absolutely fantastic. And I want to tell you guys, these clients that I'm telling you about that make these millions and millions of dollars a year started somewhere. They didn't just come right out of the gate, just kicking butt and making millions of dollars through webinars. I have to tell you, I was with them from the beginning, and they stumbled and fumbled and have stumbling blocks themselves in the beginning. But it just, they just kept that, they kept going, and you really make it more streamlined for themselves. And I know that you guys can also do this. They're absolutely a place to get stuck, like I said, and we're feeling like you may be being judged, and they can't see that maybe you're worried or you're having this sort of anxiety or panic. Do webinars instead. Maybe when they can work up to doing presentations in front of a room, you go, hey, I got this webinar thing down pat. I'm talking to 1,000 people at a time. I can go into a room and talk to 50. So like I said, you don't have to be seen, but we'll talk more about that later. And so I want to ask to know how to make more money in 90 minutes than you can in 1 year. Well, like I said, you're in luck, you're in the right place to find out how. So, like I said, get that pen and paper or those typing fingers out, because I want you guys to be able to get this information and write this down. So I'm going to share with you how to create an emotional slideshow to get more buyers, how to create a winning presentation that will make you more money in 1 day than you can make in an entire year, and how to sell 1 to 1,000 instead of 1 to 1, as well as how to set up your business so it's running 24/7. Let's talk about some real statistics for a moment.
Terryn, just one sec.
So,
Terryn, wait. Guys, it's page
yes.
69 of your books, if you're following along. We've got some of these notes in the books, and some of it isn't, so if they want to follow along that way. Cool. By the way, just while you're going there real quick, how many of you would actually like to do webinars for your business? So great, so about half of you. And for the other half of you, what is it about webinars that you're not sure about? Speaking, great. So if speaking is, but you're a brilliant speaker, Gary.
Yeah, one-on-one.
One-on-one. Well, what if you pretended that your computer was one-on-one when you're doing the webinar? See, the thing is that sometimes we think, oh, well, just because I feel like I'm not good at speaking, or just because I look a certain way or whatever, I don't need to do, we come up with these ideas of why we shouldn't do something. But actually, the beauty about a webinar is you're behind the screen, nobody sees you, you can be in your pajamas even while you're doing your webinars and be completely comfortable. But the beauty about webinars is you can reach a lot of people very quickly. So, Gary, quick question for you. If you were to sell a high ticket price product, yes, and you had to do one meeting for every single person and you needed to make 100 sales, how many meetings are you going to have? 100 meetings, and that could be 100 hours, right? So if you have 100 hours worth of meetings, or you could do one webinar for an hour and a half and sell to 100 people at once. What would you guys rather do? The webinar, right? So, this is what we're trying to show you guys today, that this is not just about, whether you feel like you're good at webinars or you're not feeling good at webinars. This is about getting your time back, being efficient, and being able to sell high ticket price products. And if you can do that, then you can make a lot more money very quickly, okay? we like to help people save time and grow their business fast, and webinars by far is one of the best ways to do that. So, you know, if you're sitting here and you're going, oh, webinars aren't for me, you know, it could be for you. It could be, and some of the best people who are on webinars at the moment weren't comfortable in the beginning. It just takes practice. But this is a very, very useful tool, and you look at the best internet marketers in the world, guess how they make their money? Webinars. If you want to be the best in your industry, it doesn't matter what niche, they all recognize that the fastest path to cash, the best way to make high ticket sales is webinars. So, so anyway, we'll keep going. Has everybody got to that page? 69, I think. Well, close to there. 69, is it? Page 69? Yeah, page 69. Great, thanks. Keep going, Terryn.
Alright. So what I wanted to share with you is kind of falls in line with what Allison was just saying, to support actually what she was just saying. So if you look at the graph, in 2007 it took about months to reach a prospect. Well, in 2015 it took almost 8 times. So in the last 8 years it's gotten twice as hard to reach a prospect. So to follow on what Allison was, 100 one-on-one meetings. If you can get those 100 one-on-one meetings, can you imagine, first of all, how many people you have to try and reach out to get to that point of having one-on-one 300 people. So you get 1 out of 3 to say yes to those one-on-one meetings. You guys, that is work yourself into, overdrive, overwhelm, and you're gonna fizzle out. We don't want that to happen. We want you to be more efficient with your time so that you can make a greater impact with your business and to your target market and just overall in your business. So I want to share with you, after our presentation, 63% of people remembered the stories. So what does that tell us? Is in your presentations, it's good to have 1, if not 2, stories that really help deliver and support your message of what you're talking about. Just think about when you meet someone in person and you're having a conversation with them, and maybe they have to tell you a story. I bet you a dime to a dollar that you will remember that story more than maybe some facts and figures that they gave you, or maybe even you'll remember the story even more than you remember their name. I know that's happened to me. Also, in purchasing decisions, think about this. Is your target market, 70% of them are out, they're out on Google, the internet, wherever it is, searching for solutions to their problem. So with whatever you're offering, you want to make sure that you present it in such a manner that has them see, oh my gosh, this is the solution to the problem that I've been having. I'm trying to think of an example. Let's say, my child is having trouble reading, and we've tried this and we've tried that program, and it just doesn't seem to work, and maybe you've got this amazing program that you have a 99% success rate with kids and getting them to learn how to read. Well, you want to make sure that you present that in your presentation in such a way that you're saying, hey, look, here's the solution for you. You don't want to just bombard them with a bunch of facts and just sort of, what I'll say, boring stuff. You want to put stories, you want to say, here's the solution to your problem. So also, remember, 55% of webinar registrants view the webinar recording. So what does that mean? That means that 55% of those people are also going to view the webinar after it's happened, maybe to watch it again. That's why, for instance, with our clients, we either pre-record or record their webinars, because not everyone that actually wants to watch your webinar can make it at the scheduled time. So if people show up, it's not necessarily that only 100 people want to hear what you have to say. Maybe there's some of them that they're in the car, they're having to feed the kids or whatever it is. Also, 65% of audiences are visual learners. So again, what does that mean? That means that you want to be able to have a presentation, like friends to you guys. I'm not just speaking to you. I'm actually giving you some visual things to look at so that, retain maybe some of this information that way as well. And 52% of all marketers found a customer via Facebook. So, companies, they'll be spending $135 billion on digital marketing collab. Also, to add to that, what they'll be doing is, so first of all, online is huge. Second of all, what does that mean? That means that webinars are just clumped into that whole thing because companies are now realizing that obviously they can expand their reach just online, but also with webinars. So why do webinars? Well, you can make more money in one webinar and then you can sweat it out all year. You can do more in 90 minutes than you can anything else. There's joint ventures with other people selling their products to their list, and you can get out to so many people. You can get to the 2/3 of the globe with one webinar. Is that not amazing? 2/3 of the entire planet if you do it at the right time. So remember what I was saying earlier about your reach, and let's say it takes 90 minutes, like Allison was saying earlier. 90 minutes of your time, and the reach that you have is phenomenal. There's no travel cost for anyone, and you could do a seminar, no problem, and do the same presentation, but you're not having to have all of those out-of-pocket costs in the beginning. So, and you know what? You can test your presentation, your product, your service, whatever it is on a webinar first before you go and do this major seminar in a room. Like Allison and Emily, they know their stuff. That's why they're able to do these in person, because they got this down pat. They know that, they know what they're doing. So, if we could all aspire to be Allison and Emily. You know what? Again, there's no cost. You could do a seminar for a whole weekend, maybe get 50 people in a room, spend $4,000 or more in cost. You got travel, food, along with everything else. Trying to get support staff to help you, maybe an AV crew in there, and just think is you have all these other variables. Maybe the hotel that you booked, they double booked the room. That's happened before. So you're not having to also try and struggle with all of that when you're just, let's simplify it. Let's make it as easy as possible to get you guys going with this. And then, like I said, if you want to get, absolutely, the path of least resistance for you guys. It doesn't require your attendees to spend a lot of money to participate in either. A lot of people don't have money to travel all over the place. They can't take time out of work and try and reach care of things. It's only 90 minutes that other weekend versus an entire 2 or 3 days all day. And like I said, they can do it from the convenience of their own home as well. So what type of products can you sell from a webinar? Well, before I go on, I want to say that the type of product that you choose to sell, product services that you choose to sell in a webinar will actually dictate the type of business that you have. So I want you guys to be very cognizant of what you choose and what you, the path you take, because I want for you guys to be able to manage that, become overwhelmed. So there's audio, there's video, downloadable products, physical products, software. Audio products, there's podcasts, audiobooks, there's recordings, downloadable, you've got PDFs, ebooks, physical products, you can sell your own products or services. Affiliates, where you're reselling others' products or services as a JV. And software, which is absolutely the most lucrative, like membership areas where you could charge on a monthly basis and have this recurring income every single month. you know, creating and selling your own products gives you more profit, but you must be prepared to manage and to deliver. So you can have storytelling as another way to expand your reach. Try not to trade your time for money. The point is to automate your sales. You could sell 6 one-on-one coaching calls for $297 and $6 an hour. Well, what happens is you're limiting the potential of your revenue, because to make $10,000 a month, you have to sell 33 packages a month, 100 hours, which really is not huge. And 1 hour webinars for $297. So with that, you could make almost $300,000. And you know, let's say max, I'm going to go on the high end and say you put 10 hours total of time with the 6 webinars. So let's say you're thinking of what to put in these webinars and getting them set up and then actually doing webinars. So that's 10 hours making almost $300,000 versus 200 hours over and over and over and over and over again for only $10,000 a month. Because with these 6 one-hour webinars, once you've recorded them, you know what, you can have them play back like live, where you're not even having to do them over and over and over again. So hours worth of time for that $300,000. Well, if you could keep selling it over and over and over again, so the return on your investment is an infinite amount. It's how many people can you sell this to? So talk about a bang for your buck as far as your time goes. It's amazing. And you know what price point? Well, you could do $97, $197, $497 is a happy, you know, medium kind of middle of the road, and then $797. And you know, these price points in a payment plan, like I said, could give you recurring income. So, example, $497 a month, or $97 and 6 more payments of $97. Let's say if it was like for a membership site or a coaching program. But one sale, make sure to change after they purchase and an exit pop up on the sales page. You know, you only need 1,000 sales at $97 a month, and you'll be on your way to $1.2 million a year. And if they buy up, you could make up to 30% more revenue. And then with the exit pop, you could make 12%. That's just more money in your pocket for your time and your effort and your product and your services. So remember that.
Hey, Terryn. Terryn.
Like I said, making more money.
Sorry,
Yes.
just real quick. Can you just double check your internet for a second?
Yes.
Just double check your internet for a second. Because you're just breaking up a little.
Yep. All right. Let's see. Connected. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, but we just sometimes lose a word. So
It would help too if others aren't browsing the internet, because video webinars certainly take up a lot of bandwidth.
yeah, so guys, if you're you want to just maybe close your computers or
On your computer is fine, but you know.
yeah, just don't be on the internet just at this moment, just because it can affect the broadband. All right, so keep going. Let's keep going, and we should be okay. Cool.
Oh, okay. What I was saying is, picture this: making more money in 90 minutes over the next 6 months, and you to do the things that you wanted to do, whether that's spending more time with your kids, or traveling, or you know what? Quite frankly, reading a book. The easiest way to create an emotional slideshow to get more buyers. So, you know, I put this in here. Anybody have stress with bills or money, and they're like, gosh, you know what? I need to bring in money now. Well, you know what? Webinars is absolutely the way to go. It's so, it's almost instant, is what I like to say. So how do you make money these days? Well, like we were talking about earlier, the traditional way was working with someone one-on-one. And like I said, that's the old way. I want to aim. We want you guys to be able to have a higher return on investment with your time and your energy. You know, here, to drive it home even more, cost comparison of, let's say, meeting 100 people at Starbucks. So, activity of about $200. coffee, a time waiting, let's say $20, child care, you have to do that's $20, $90. But multiply that by 100, because remember, we're meeting with 100 people. So that's almost $30,000 that you guys are trying to meet with 100 people one-on-one. And that's literally time. So let's say 5 a day, which is 20 days, assuming everybody shows up also. And you know what? Sometimes with these one-on-one meetings, maybe you're not actually meeting with a decision maker and wasted an hour of your time or wasted all this effort. And because they're not really the decision maker.
Who's actually done that, by the way?
Can you imagine
Yeah.
what an impact?
I was just asking the room, who's actually met with not the decision maker? Just raise your hands. Yeah. Was that a waste of time or what? Total waste of time. Crazy. So, I mean, this is really valuable stuff, Terryn. This is awesome. And, you know, what we're trying to do here is show you that you could not just cost your time in meeting people, but you can also cost you a lot of money doing it the old-fashioned way. Isn't that right? I mean, people love that personal touch, but they do get that personal touch through webinars as well. So that's pretty cool. Sorry, keep going.
Yeah. Okay, no worries. So what I was saying is you know, imagine what an impact you could make with $30,000, let's say, in marketing, like with Facebook ads. Oh my goodness gracious. Imagine how many people you get on your webinars. It's crazy. So cost of meeting, let's say 100 people on a webinar. So electricity, I don't know, about 13 cents. Internet connection, you already have. Webinar platform could be free. So really, it's about 13 cents. So who would prefer to spend 13 cents versus $30,000 to reach 100 people? I hope everybody in the room is raising their hand, that they're
Yes,
going for the 13 cents versus almost $30,000. And listen to this, guys. It only takes 90 minutes. It's not, you know, all day, every day, consuming your time when you could be doing other more effective things. Will absolutely the way to go. So I like to call it the new day. You know, you have to create a compelling slideshow that fills your viewers with emotion. And how do you do this? Well, like I was saying earlier, you share a story. So, for instance, here's my story. I started back in '99. I worked very hard at building my business and my client base. Had tons of hours put into building my networking relationships, and I was really working by the hour, doing up to 15 webinars in one day at $150 an hour. Well, sounds like good money, right? Well, when you look at it from this perspective, it's not all it's cracked up to be, because the $150 an hour compared to what my clients were making. Like I was saying, you know, Alison mentioned earlier, some were making upwards of $1 million in 90 minutes. And I'm, you know, making $150 an hour. So, you know, here, $300 versus $1 million. I was thinking, well, what's fair about that? So that's what caught me, and that's what had me say, wait a minute, what am I doing? I can do this too. I was already doing all the work, providing all the technology, support, and knowledge. I was the one hooked and responsible. All I had to do was tell me which one to play. And I was the one who always had to show up. Most of the time, I didn't even need to be there. And I wasn't getting paid what I thought I deserved. So I want to share with you now what you need to focus on as well with your webinar. So, like I was saying earlier, you want to offer a solution. So what's the problem that you're solving? Who are you trying to know? Who is it that you're speaking to? Is it the stay-at-home mom? Is it the CEO running a Fortune 500 company? You know, what kind of problems is your target audience having? And describe these challenges in detail. And then you know, start talking about your story and your history so that they can, you know, we're talking about also adding that personal touch that you get with a one-on-one meeting. You can still do this in a webinar by doing this. And remember, you know what, the lower the low, the more you're set. Because what this means is that the more that you can sort of whittle down and hone in on the problems that your target audience is having, they're going to feel like, yes, he or she gets me. They understand what I'm going through. And they'll be more open to hearing what you have to say and the message that you have to deliver. So I want to show you how simple it is to create a converting presentation with my template system in literally just a few minutes. Now I'm going to uncover a way to create a winning presentation that makes you more money. And when your presentation is structured in a certain way, it contains the right pieces, you'll have a formula for making money for yourself time after time. So example, Microsoft Office. The quickest and fastest way to produce amazing spreadsheets without remembering all the details, and then you want to make sure that you put your name and your picture. Of course, that's not me. And then you want to share the who, what, and where, how of you. And again, the people get to know who you are, and example is say, oh, I've worked with Microsoft Office since 1985 and helped small and large companies, and you go on and share with them a little bit about you and your experience, because they're going to want a question they're going to have in their mind is, well, why should I listen to you? So you want to share a little bit of your credentials that speak specifically to the type of presentation that you're giving. And then you want to go ahead and again, like I was saying, start speaking to maybe some problems that they're having. So for instance here, can't remember shortcuts, searching for Google for the answers, wasting time, bothering coworkers, embarrassed or frustrated. Well, I'm going to share with you an insider secret. So what you're doing is you're now saying, okay, well, you've proven to them that you're recognizing the problems that they're having, and now you're saying, oh, I have a solution. Heaven's opened up an angel saying, because here we are. I now have this problem solved for you, and here's exactly what you do. And you share some information, whether it's tips, tricks, solutions to this problem, so they can actually walk away with valuable information to go and apply to whatever problem that they're having, because this is also part of the process of proving to them again that, yes, this person understands the problem that I'm having, and oh my gosh, they've actually given me some solutions, some tools, some tricks, whatever it is, to help solve that problem. And all I had to do was show up to the webinar. They're not charging me $1 million. They're not asking me to do anything else except for give me some of their time. And that's the thing too, is, you want to, people are spending their most valuable asset with you, which is their time. So you want to make it worth it. And then, you want to say, do you think the strategies can help save you time and money? And then you get them to picture what life would be like with their problem solved, and how amazing it would be, skipping through the fields of flowers, happy that, that their problem is solved. And you can then say, I've just shown you a glimpse of Bill's strategy, shortcuts, and tips. And then you can say, hey, you know what? You can keep doing what you've been doing it, wasting time, maybe searching online, you keep asking your peers. Or you can say, hey, you can do it the easy way. And share with them, you know what? I've got a solution for you. And then, so for instance, this would be Excel, one-click shortcuts. And you give them a list of whatever, everything that your product or service includes with a breakdown of it, and the real world value of it all. Because what you're doing is you're showing them, look, I'm prepared to give you all of this. This is, to make it worth their time and their money as well. So let's say, for instance, the total value is almost $4,000, but you are only asking $47 from them. So you're getting this massive amount of value for this small little, makes sense. Then what you're doing is you're showing them, hey, you know what? This $47 that I would be spending really is not that huge of a dent in my wallet compared to everything that I'll be getting in return. And you really want it to be that. way. Okay? You over deliver on your value, and have people feel like, yes, that was the best money I've ever spent on training my cat, or learning how to do Excel, or teaching my kid to really learn how to read. And then, maybe, well, it's where they can go and buy. And, say $47 and you're in for life. So can you see how simple it is to create the emotional appeal to your audience, describing a problem, and then providing a solution that everyone wants to buy? Well, like I said, over 15,000 webinars in 15 years, I have seen and heard it all. I work with my clients every day, advise them on how to do better, and I'm going to show you the webinar before consulting with me, and then after. So here's before. So I want to ask if you guys see something happening in the graph. What do you notice just from looking at these graphics? I'll give you a second. All right.
What are you guys seeing?
Huge dip.
Yeah, big dip, isn't it? Massive. Sorry, I was just asking in the room. Pretty bad, huh? Can you imagine doing all that work and having all those people on the webinar and then you lose heaps of people, okay? Sorry, keep going.
Oh yeah, no worries. So, see, what happened here is he didn't have that interaction and that emotional appeal in his presentation to his audience and with the viewers. And he had less than 5% conversion. Can you imagine? 5%. That's less than minimum wage when you work it all out at the end of the day. You guys are not getting into business and doing webinars for minimum wage. That's not what you're, I hope that's not what you're shooting for. So what I did is I went back and I worked with him on his presentation. We made a few tweaks to really get that emotion and engagement and interaction with his audience. Because again, you can still achieve that not only personal feel, but that interaction back and forth, even with a webinar.
So Terryn,
By asking questions.
yeah,
Yes.
Terryn, so you're saying asking questions gives engagement. So what types of questions would they have to ask to get people to engage and stay interested?
So you could ask them, for instance, how many of you are experiencing this problem? Or how many of you have ever tried XYZ and gotten this result? Let's see. Have you ever worked your fingers to the bone to try and do this and failed miserably because really at the end of the day, you didn't have all the tools that you needed? So what you're doing is you're reaching out to your audience to try and really get them to engage with you and really and wait for them to type in these answers to your questions, because then you can see, okay, well, what are people typing? What are they saying? And acknowledge that. Say, some people are saying that, when they sat down to try and teach their kids to read, it ended up in this argument and their child crying and they're frustrated. Or, let's say, like here, even with, I gave you the example of the Excel spreadsheet. How many of you sat down to try and do an Excel spreadsheet and you're there for 5 hours and you've literally done nothing because you're like, well, I did this a while ago, but I have no clue. So with this engagement, like I said, you're asking questions where they are and what problems they're having, whether, like I said, whether in business or personal, if that's what, that's what your product or service is. So that's the type of questions you can ask to start to get engagement.
So how many questions, how many questions would you ask in a 90-minute webinar?
It really depends. You could, I would say in the beginning, as you're sort of getting started and you're warming them up. I would say maybe ask 3, start out with 3 and see what people are saying and how they're interacting with you. And then if you're really getting some good engagement, maybe ask a few more. You want to just be talking at them. You want to be talking with them.
Mm.
It's
It's interesting because I see this all the time with our webinars. How many of you have been on one of our webinars before? Yeah. And how many questions am I asking? Heaps. And when I mention your names, how does that make you feel? Good. And does it keep you engaged because I have to keep, like I keep saying, oh, Sib's on the webinar, welcome. And when you're asking the question, so for instance, if I was to mention your name in the webinar, does it make you feel like you should stay with attention with the webinar just in case I talk to you? Yeah. It does, right? So it holds the engagement much longer than just giving content, and people can switch off. So just by a show of hands, raise your hands how many of you in the room have been checking your email or doing anything else during this presentation? It's okay, you can be honest. Yeah, there we go. So a quarter of the room were disengaged in one point of time because we were giving content. See that? So what we want to do is we want to get their attention back. So notice I have your attention right now. Okay, by talking to the audience, asking questions, and getting them to respond. So if you can get your audience to say yes lots of times during the webinar, they're more likely to say yes at the end when they purchase from you, okay? So if you ask a question that means that the answer is no, will they engage with you? No. So you could say something, so a limiting question would be something like, how many of you in the room have $1 million? Okay, it might only be 1 or 2 or none, and then it could be how many of you in the room want to make $1 million. So raise your hands if you would like to make $1 million. See, so I got, just by changing one word in my question, I got full engagement. By having the other word, I excluded you. Does that make sense? So you'll be very careful with the wording of your questions, but if you can have it that most of the audience will say yes in your answer, and they can put their little hand up or type to you in the question box, then you're going to keep that engagement and they're going to feel positive the whole way through. That's really cool, Terryn. Did you want to add anything to that?
No, I think we're on a roll here.
Awesome.
Yeah. So now I want to show you guys the after. You know, after I went through the presentation with him, like I said, made a few little tweaks here and there, made sure that he got more engagement from the audience. Look at that. It's a completely looking graph. Look at that.
Yeah, that's huge. That's huge.
And say you have 100 people on a webinar, 30 buy at $1,000. How much money is that? You guys do the math. Type into those calculators. Is it worth your time for 90 minutes? I hope everyone is saying yes. Are they now?
They're silently nodding. We're all a bit quiet this morning. Yeah, but you know, guys, look at the engagement difference the whole way through. Okay, and if you can keep people onto the webinar all the way to the end, now you'll always get 1 or 2 people drop off at the end when you start doing your pitch. Okay, you're always going to get that people go, I'm out and I'm finished, because they got the content and they'll leave. But if you can hold people through all the way to the end, that's really powerful. And this is why you want to monitor your webinars. And there are some pretty cool tools out there that you can use to see little graphs like this, and you can see what we would do. Actually, Emily, would you mind grabbing my clicker, or Chrissy, my clicker in the bag, and I can point on the screen. But can you see here that there's a drop about 3/4 of the way through, even on the good webinar? Can you see that at the top? So what I would be doing if this was my webinar, I would go to, you know, the point where it's 1 hour and 10 minutes on the webinar presentation. I would have the recording and I would see exactly the slide that meant the people left. And it's interesting that usually people leave when you start talking about yourself. You know, when you're just going on and on and on about yourself. If you can make the webinar about them, you're going to keep them engaged a lot more, which is pretty cool. But in the end, what you want to do is you want to try and keep people on all the way to the end, and you do that by, you know, saying you got to wait till the end until you get this special bonus, or, you know, keep them engaged the whole way through, because 90 minutes is a great period of time to close a customer. But if you're finding that they're leaving after 30 minutes or after an hour and they're not even seeing the buy now button, everything is undone, isn't it? In fact, the webinar we did for the group the other day, we had 24 people on the webinar, and by the time that I shared the buy now button, we had 22 people on the webinar. So we only lost 2 people through the pitch, which is pretty good, isn't it? And then out of that, we got 3 sales. So we got about, I don't know, 12 to 15% conversion rate on the webinar, which is pretty good. So what you would do then is you go, okay, well, this webinar worked. We got everybody pretty much stay all the way till the end. Now it's about getting more numbers on, getting more traffic, and getting more people on there. So you want to monitor everything. And I'm even watching on here, like at the moment we only have 2 people on the webinar here, see attendees 2. So if I go back up here, and I'll be watching the numbers, and I'll notice if I lose somebody, I'll take a mental note, oh, that was when I was talking about this slide. And so I can go back later and have a look at the recording and see what I said on that slide, or what does that slide mean for the people, to see what do I need to change for the next one. And it may take a couple of webinars to get it right. You know, how many of you have done a webinar before? Okay, so there's about 5 of you in the room. And did you see on your webinar a point where people dropped off? Yep. So, you know, were you able to pinpoint the actual slide? Like we did this last year, didn't we? We did this last year in the room, and we were able to make some sales, which was great. But it's about, you know, monitoring exactly the point of the slide when they leave, so that you can get them back. And you will lose people. You don't know sometimes where you will lose people. But the numbers will tell you. If you have 100 people on the webinar and 5 people leave on slide 6, something about that slide has to change, or take it out. Okay, so you always got to track this stuff. But gosh, if you could keep people on the whole way, wouldn't that be more powerful for your business? Absolutely. So it's all about monitoring, testing, and then keeping the consistency throughout the whole webinar. And you'll notice as well, sorry to go on here, Terryn, but you'll notice as well is, I think there was a point in the webinar, was anybody on the webinar on Tuesday night? One person, yeah. So did you notice there was a point in the webinar where I slumped a little bit with energy, like I got a little bit tired at one point? No, you didn't notice? I noticed it. There was one little point where I felt myself getting a little bit tired, because there was a lot of information that I was going through in the webinar, and I had to kind of silently slap myself in the face and like pick it up again, and I started speaking faster. So what you need to do is you need to monitor your own energy in the webinar and really project through the screen, because if there's a point where you start getting tired and even fall asleep yourself in a certain way, you will lose people there as well. So you've got to keep that energy consistent, because even if you start slowing down, that can make people fall asleep, and then they'll go off the webinar as well. So you got to really keep that engagement. Cool. Does anyone have any questions about that? Yes.
So I'm just
Hang on, just so Terryn can hear.
Hi, Terryn. Sybil Ralston here. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Great. So on the last note that Alison just mentioned about the energy levels, what came to mind for me first was that I know that my energy levels, when they're up more throughout the day than others, I'm a night owl, so I would automatically have my webinars at night. But then, of course, you also mentioned that there are best times of day to have a webinar, and so therefore I need to have a combination of both. Is that right?
So, yeah, I mean, it's one thing that I want also to mention is it really depends on your audience. You know, who is your target market? What are their habits? So yes, there are some, what I'll call like industry standard best times to have webinars, but you also want to take into consideration Because let's say, for instance, they're all, they might not be the best time, like an afternoon or like 3 o'clock, might not be the best because they're right in the middle of their day, maybe picking kids up and giving them lunch, whatnot. So your evening webinars are going to work best. And then you've got some people who, let's say,
Well, Terryn, we lost you for a sec. Hello? The other thing that you should notice is notice how she's breaking out a little bit and it loses you guys. You must have good internet. Now, we have good internet on our side, but you've got to have at least 2 megabytes upload speed for a webinar. So can you imagine if you're running a webinar to 100 people and you're getting dropouts all the time? Do you think you're going to keep people engaged? No, they're going to be frustrated. They're going to be like, I can't hear you, and it's stressful, right? So it actually hurts your webinar not to have good internet. Now, notice at the moment I'm actually jumping in and I'm talking while she gets back online or whatever's going on right now. Notice that? And I can jump in and I can keep the energy up in the room or in the webinar. So what you want to do is you always want to have 2 hosts on the webinar just in case you do have an audio dropout so the other person can drop in. So the other day I had to get Emily's computer on to the webinar at the same time just in case there was an internet dropout, and I had her laptop next to me so in case I could see it happening or somebody messaged through, I could then just jump over to hers and turn the audio on and I go, I'm still here guys, and just keep talking. So you want to be able to do that, but if you do that though, make sure you mute the other computer next to you with the audio and their audio in, otherwise you're going to have an echo effect, okay? But these things are really important, even to have a second internet connection on your webinars. And we've even had it before where I've had 100 people on a webinar and just before I gave the link to purchase, the internet dropped out and booted everybody off the internet and myself. And I tried to get back in and there were 2 people left on the webinar when I got back in. And, you know, all that work to get all those people on the webinar to then basically lose all those sales. Now, do you think they're going to come back again next time? No, because they've already got the content. They're not going to stay for the pitch again. So it's really, really important that you do have that good backup. A good place to test the internet is speedtest.net. So if you write down speedtest.net, you can check your upload speed and your download speed. One of the reasons why we chose this venue is that we had really, really fast internet. It was something like 27 meg upload speed. So it's really, really fast. You need minimum 2 meg upload to do a webinar. So Emily, are you still there? Terryn? Emily's still there on the back, but Terryn, are you still there? You guys kind of look the same sometimes.
yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, perfect. So, here. So now that you guys understand the difference between potentially being minimally less, making big money, you know, it's, like I said, it's all because of changing the presentation. That's all it was. Like Allison was saying, you got to get that engagement in there. Your stories, offer the solution.
Hello? Terryn, we lost you again. Let me check mine. Let's see here. No, my internet's good, Terryn. So is it yours?
I don't know, because I can hear you, like, no breaking out at all.
Okay. All right, well, keep going. I'm hearing you again now, so that should be fine.
Okay. So, more benefits from doing webinars. So, like I was saying, convenience of doing it from your own home. And quite frankly, you can do it from anywhere in the world as long as there's Wi-Fi. Just no more having to go into the office. The leverage of your time is amazing. The amount of people you can reach is phenomenal. And it's very automated, most automated business online. And no website needed, even if you need an email list. See, so this perfect example. Sitting there smiling, engaged with your audience. So now you've got your presentation ready to go. You've got it looking great, snappy. Now let's do a webinar. Well, showing you all these different tips and strategies in order to have motion in your presentation. Here are some more tips on really how to make sure that you have a bang-up webinar. First of all, you always want to start on time. Like I was saying earlier, respect your audience's most valuable asset that they're spending with you, which is their time. Have at least 2 hosts on at the same time, like Allison was just saying. Make sure that they're on different internet connections and streaming from different places, because if you drop off, you still got the other host so that you don't lose everybody. Also, mentally prepare yourself for what you're about to do, because this is the difference between winning and not winning. People can really hear whether you're all in or you're just kind of mediocre and, just kind of going through the motions. Imagine you're about to run the race of a lifetime. You study the course, you know you have to make your turns, you know where you need to be on the track, going through your head, being ahead of the pack, going around the turn, beating everyone. It's just like a race. You want to be all in and present. And you have to know every slide, what you're going to do and say. You see it in your head and you're ready to go. And when you're delivering your presentation, be excited about your product or service and what you're talking about in the presentation. Like I said, it comes through in how you speak and the inflections in your voice. And your audience will be able to get that emotion and energy in your voice. And be prepared. Smile. They can tell if you're not. I tell my clients all the time is that a little trick, and this is going to sound ridiculous and you might feel ridiculous doing it, but it absolutely works, is if you make sure that you have a smile on your face the entire time, it actually sounds different than if you just, if you just have like a regular kind of look on your face, like I'm watching TV kind of look.
In fact, let's do that. What do you think, Terryn? Let's actually have a practice, shall we? Can everyone pair up? Find somebody else in the room. If you're by yourself, just find somebody else. And I want you to just talk normally with a frown on your face. Just talk normally. And then I want you to talk with a smile and hear and feel the difference with that. We'll just do that really quickly now. What do you think, Terryn? Just for about a minute. So find somebody. If you're by yourself, just talk about your day, and then I want you to smile and do it.
So, and here, this is, like we were just talking about, engage your audience questions, mentioning them by names, just like she was saying, When people feel recognized or validated, then you naturally, they will give you more of their attention. And naturally, they will be more open to hear what you have to say. So again, it's interacting with your audience, clarifying maybe problems, find out what stops your viewer from getting the results that they are having. Just like, we've been doing with you this presentation and Allison has been mentioning. So absolutely, this all applies. And I always like to say 90 minutes gets you the highest conversion. And I like to use the example of baking a cake. You cannot bake a cake in 5 minutes, and if you can, you're amazing. Because if you think about it, when you bake a cake, you've got to get the ingredients, you've got to mix them together, and you've got to make sure that all the measurements are correct. And you have to put it in the oven, and it's got to bake. And with a presentation, it's the same kind of thing. There are steps that you have to take through your entire presentation so that it makes sense. You've got the hello, the introduction, the getting to know, the interaction, and the meat of the presentation, and then moving them all the way through to the close. But it's not like, hey, my name is, Billy Joe, has this amazing product. Okay, now bye. We're going to go, wait a minute. We're missing something here. Would you agree, Allison?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And, it's not, it's not, 55 minutes. It's not, 99 minutes. It's 90 minutes is the best converting webinars. And, I've done webinars anywhere from an hour to 2 hours. Some of my webinars go a little bit longer, like an hour and 45 minutes. But I make sure that they have the buy now button before the 90-minute point, because that's when they're going to buy. So if you can close the webinar at 90 minutes, that will give you the best conversion rate for sure. And we test things all the time. We test short webinars, we test long webinars, and you do need that time to build credibility and trust. Okay, you have to have that time, and 90 minutes is a proven psychological time period for the attention of somebody can actually put into something. After 90 minutes, they start to go down a little bit with their energy. So that makes a very big difference.
I would agree. And also, a couple things to remember is before the webinar, make sure that you communicate with your participants via email to ensure that they arrive early. Make sure that it's the right presentation with the right offer, because a lot of times you might have the same beginning, but your offer might be slightly different depending on who you're speaking to, and it's never fun to end up giving the wrong presentation. I've had some clients do that because they were stubborn and they didn't check. So don't make the same mistake.
It's terrible when that happens. Has any of you guys ever been in even a presentation, a seminar room when the the person at the front of the room had the wrong slide up, like just because you're here at this special event and it was somebody else's event? Have you guys ever seen that? Yeah. And it can be very embarrassing, and you don't feel special anymore because you know that they've done that for somebody else. So you make sure that you have the right slides up and the right offer and the right link. Make sure the link is correct. Sometimes you make changes and you change the link and the price is right. Because if you have the wrong price point on your slide, then it will absolutely hurt sales big time, because you're like, oh, hang on, I just made a mistake here, and you're changing it on the slide for them, and you just lose all credibility. So check your slides before you do it. So important.
Mm-hmm. And also, you want to make sure that the sales process is working. So your autoresponders, your buy now buttons, your sales pages, that type of thing. Because again, going along with what Allison just said, I would hate for you guys to go through the entire presentation and be like, yeah, this is amazing, I hit it out of the park, this is great, I got lots of engagement, people are excited, and then they go to the sales page and the price is wrong, the offer is wrong, or maybe the sales page isn't even working. So that's always important to check. And then after the webinar, make sure that you've properly ended it. Don't try to, have a side conversation or change your screen until after it's completely done. Because remember I was saying 15,000 webinars in around 15 years? When I say I've seen it all and I've heard it all, I really have. I've had clients who, they say, okay, bye everybody, and they haven't shut off the webinar, and then you hear them talk to their guests like, can you believe that? Whoa, I can't believe that just happened. Or they go and they check their email, their personal email, and they still have their screen showing. So just make sure that it's all cut off and ended, and you'll be happier for it. And also, you know what? I would record every single webinar. I would make this a practice. Like I said, we record or pre-record all of our clients' webinars, because with this, you can use it time and time and time again for live purposes, or you can take pieces of it out and use it for promotional purpose. There's 150 million things. And you know what? I would say store it on Amazon S3. That's what we use in our office, and we always recommend for all of our clients to use, because it really is made for storing and streaming media files. So absolutely check into that. And it's very, very cost effective too. Amazingly so. Also, be sure not to use animations or lots of transitions, moving images, words, that type of thing, because they end up taking too much bandwidth and ruin your attendees' viewing experience. Similar to like what Emily and Allison were saying earlier, is you don't want to do anything to choke up your internet connection or possibly tax your viewers' internet connection. And don't clutter your slides with too many images and words, because it becomes confusing and distracting. And make sure your audience is always muted, because this can create a lot of background noise and distract your viewers from your message, as well as, you make sure that your audience cannot see other viewers' questions and comments, because this can be distracting. They'll end up focusing on what other people are saying or asking versus the content and message that you're delivering. So very important as well. Also, make sure you don't have any noises going on in the background, because this can distract you and your audience as well. and I get you out of your groove of the presentation, so turn off your phone, Skype, chat programs, notifications, any bings, any bongs, that type of thing. No kids and dogs running around the office, because that's not going to be good for your mojo.
Have you guys heard that, by the way? Have you been on a webinar with somebody and they're like, here, come and meet my kids? Or you've heard lots of background noise or coffee machines in the back. Have you guys ever heard a webinar like that? Really distracting, isn't it? So you always want to try and make it a very, very quiet place, no other background noise. Even the other night, I turned the air conditioner off in the room because it was creating a whirring sound in the background. So I was like heating up pretty quick. So halfway through the webinar, I had to turn the aircon back on again. But it was just, you want to try and keep it as quiet as possible because it really does distract people from, them taking, having that focus with what you're saying, for sure.
Absolutely. Like I'm thankful I was able to get my daughter to bed, and my dog is not deciding to burst. What's playtime right now? Webinar with you guys. It's fake. Okay.
Yeah.
Also, never do a webinar from a mobile phone or a tablet. When a tablet, you lose your audience and your sales. They're not reliable or as dependable as if you do a laptop. Also, be sure not to send your audience anywhere outside of your webinar until it's time to give them the URL to buy, sign up, or participate, because then you'll be lost. Well, on average nowadays, I have ADD. So I'm sure that you guys have been on some webinars where at the beginning you're giving URLs and different company names and people and all that kind of stuff, and you're like, hey, I want to check this out, and then you're off on a Google tangent and you've missed, 30 minutes of the presentation. I know we are all guilty of that if we've experienced it. I'm raising my hand too. So make sure you save that till the end. Also, think of your webinar about the sun. You could burn and in the wind, just like Allison was saying with air conditioning. It can cause a lot of distracting background noise as well as your audience. Well, now you know the most important rules of conducting a webinar. Now let's talk about how to get people to a webinar. So in order to sell 1 to 1,000, you can invite people to a webinar. You can get a Facebook, go to Facebook, create an event, invite people to that event. For instance, here's an example of one for Authority Fusion. You can do the date and time, kind of what you're going to be going over, and or you can do a Facebook ad to get highly targeted registrants to your webinar. And I like to say, how many of you have an ATM machine at home? Well, a webinar is absolutely a live ATM machine and a passive ATM machine. I cannot stress this enough. What you're about to discover is the incredible power of having your business run 24/7, getting a whole new perspective.
Actually, Terryn, funny story. We were doing this presentation about 6 months ago in an event down in Melbourne, and Terryn asked this question, how many of you have an ATM machine at home? And he goes, I do, I sell ATM machines. So he actually did have an ATM machine at home, so that was pretty random, but yeah.
Right, the one person.
The one person in the world that imports ATM machines. He was in our seminar, so there you go. Be prepared for anything.
Right, we have to take a picture and send it to us.
I know, totally.
So and knowing the right pieces to put in place so that you're not chasing your tail anymore. Because like I said, we really want you guys to be able to be absolutely effective with your time and your efforts and everything else. Because that way you'll be more energized to give the proper effort and energy to your business in the first place, as well as you'll start to see more results faster. And I know that's what you guys want. And so you can accomplish this by recording your webinar, uploading it to Amazon SB, have it ready to go live. Like I was saying, with what's live? Well, it is having your webinar play as if it is live, but what you're doing, this is what we do for our clients, is we hop on the webinar at the correct date and time, and we get everything set up, and we actually play a pre-recorded file that we've done for them, and it appears as if it is live to the audience. So, because we have a lot of our clients who are doing traveling, they have previous speaking engagements, some of them just want to spend time with their family. Because sometimes these webinars are happening at 9, 10, 11 o'clock at night. And you know, a lot of people after a full day of work, they've lost their steam. So, you know, this is what 98% of our client base does, and this is really how they're able to make the biggest impact with their audience. So, you know what, now you have a passive way of making money in the future. You've got your webinar recorded, ready to go whenever you want to run it again. You can have, like I said, you can even have someone else play it for you likewise. You guys are set and ready to go. So I want to thank you all for the time. It's been fun. I always get excited about talking about all this stuff. I could actually go on for another 5 hours with you guys. But I know Allison and Emily have a lot of really cool stuff to share with you. So thank you so much. It's been fantastic. And I want to say, I hope you guys absolutely enjoy the rest of your time there. It's going to be so beneficial to you.
Awesome. Does anyone actually have any questions for Terryn? Yeah, there's a few questions. So can you hang around a little bit longer, Terryn?
Sure.
Yep, cool. So let me just go around here.
This is just a quick one. Can we get a copy of the slides?
So these are actually, this presentation, this whole thing is going in the membership area. So everything this week is being recorded. Okay, so that'll be there.
Hi Terryn, it's Alden here again. Really enjoyed that, thank you. I noticed that you're using GoToWebinar here. There's been different price points for that in Australia. Some people I know can get it for $70 a month. Mostly it's up to about $130 a month here in Australia. Just wondering what you pay in the US for your GoToWebinar and what other free platforms there are for webinars.
So there's lots of them out there. You can do Google Hangouts. That's one free one. But I do want to, before I continue to answer your question, I do want to say that it is an instance of you get what you pay for. So I use GoToWebinar. Majority of my clients use GoToWebinar because it's a nice middle-of-the-road platform to where it's user-friendly, pretty intuitive, and fairly priced. So you could do, like I said, you could do Google Hangouts. Was there Join.me? I mean, you could Google. There's lots of them out there. And you know what? It's okay if that's where you have to start. It's okay if your startup costs are minimal. You know, you work up to maybe the first tier of your GoToWebinar account. You guys would probably, your mouths would probably drop open if I told you what I pay for the webinar, but it's only because I've had GoToWebinar since GoToWebinar was around, so my price has been grandfathered in. They don't offer this anymore. But so yeah, so there are several different platforms that you can use for free.
Yeah.
And like I said, it's okay if that's where you need to start. And if you're going, you know what, well, I'm not really comfortable with that, then start with, you know, GoToWebinar. Just do the first tier account. And then you just work your way up. As you're making more sales, as you get more business, then, you know, then it'll justify the expense of you know, having a higher tier in the GoToWebinar account.
The other thing too is you want to have a very solid platform. I mean, even you'll notice here with the internet dropouts, how much it affects. If your webinar platform is free or cheap, you can have problems. We had some problems testing webinars on air, but they do give you that cool graph, which is cool. But the other, now there's positives and negatives, because what happens with Google is they actually post it straight to your YouTube channel as well. So if you did a bad webinar and now it's live for the whole world to see, then that's a problem as well. However, it can get you a lot more traffic from people finding your webinar in Google Hangouts. So you know, there are lots of pros and cons for different platforms. You might want to test in one platform and then move across to another. But we like to use GoToWebinar just because it's more consistent and real. Are there any more questions for Terryn while we've got her? We were talking earlier this week, and we wanted to figure out a way for maybe if you guys want to work with Terryn. Is anybody curious about how to work with Terryn? That's been, yeah, in some way? A few people? Yeah. So what we thought is we're going to do something crazy. We've never done this before. Now, of course, Terryn does need to be paid for her time, but we thought we'd do something, and maybe just for $97, you can just spend time with her. We set this up for you if you're interested. And this is really just a discovery session for you guys, just to see whether webinars are right for your business, and also if you have the right kind of product and things like that. This is just so that you can spend a little bit of time with Terryn. She can maybe help you with your existing, what you've got going on. She'll give you some ideas, and then we can go from there. But this is an amazing opportunity to spend 30 minutes with her one-on-one, just with your business, and to see if webinars are a good fit for you. Some products shouldn't be sold on a webinar. Isn't that right? I mean, if you're selling a $27 product, is it going to be worth all the effort for a $27 product? Maybe not. You may need a product that's over $97 or over $497. But it's about finding out what's going to work for you, what's not going to work for you. And Terryn is amazing one-on-one. And do you think if Terryn has helped people make over $1 million in 90 minutes, she could help you guys too? Come on, really, seriously? Yeah, exactly. So this is what it's about. I'm sure you spent more than that on drinks last night. So it's really a crazy price. So who actually spent more than that on drinks last night, be honest? Or yesterday? Yeah, you did? 97 baht. There we go. 97 baht. But that's what we're talking about. It's really nothing, but it does at least pay for her time a little bit. So who's interested in this, just so we know? Maybe? Okay, so maybe a couple of people. So if you have any questions about it, just come and see us in the break, and we'll help you with that. So that's pretty cool. So let's give Terryn one more massive round of applause. We'll put that link up on the board as well. Thank you very much. That's amazing. Cool. So we've got half an hour now till the break, so I'm going to go into a little bit of product launch strategies. So Terryn, what we're going to do is we're going to end the webinar, if that's all right, or do you want to stay on and listen?
I would love to stay on and listen. It is almost midnight here, though, so I might need a smidge of sleep.
Okay, there we go. So we'll let you go. It's very late. And that's the other thing too, guys. Sometimes, I mean, we've done webinars before at even 2 a.m. in the morning for different time zones if we're in different countries. But if you can make big sales, it's absolutely worth it. So, but really, thank you so much for being part of our event, Terryn. That was amazing. Thank you.
Well, thank you for having me, and like I said, you guys enjoy the rest of your week, and I look forward to hearing about everyone's success and hopefully working with some of you. So, bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Cool. So what I'm going to do quickly is, oops. So here's what happens at the end of a webinar. Just to close out this session, GoToMeeting actually has recorded this. So now what I can do is I can actually click on Convert Recording. See that? And now what it'll do, it'll turn it into an MP4 straight away and turn it into an actual recording, which is cool. So I can immediately, once this finishes doing its thing, I can then upload it into the internet and it's ready to go. So we might edit it a little bit though, because there were some points where we had some dropouts, so we might chop that up first in ScreenFlow, make it a bit cleaner before we upload it for a replay. Okay, but that's how you do a recording with GoToWebinar. So once this file has been created, I can then open it in ScreenFlow, and then I can chop it up. So I'm actually using ScreenFlow as well to record my screen. I recorded this doubly just in case anything happened with the webinar. So I'll see if I can show you that now, but it's going to take a few minutes to do this. So I'll get on with the presentation, and then if we have some time before the break, I'll show you how to chop it up real quick. Okay?